Good morning, evening, midday, noon, wherever you are, whatever time it is where you are. I hope you're doing really, really, really well. Today we're gonna share this email that Alex has sent us. And before I get into it, as always, nothing here is specific medical advice to anyone, but just general advice that I hope will be helpful to Alex and to anybody else that is tuning in here. So let's jump right into this email that I received 2 days ago. Hi, my name is Alex. Prior to experiencing insomnia, I would consider myself a very robust sleeper. I could fall asleep quickly and not wake up until my alarm. I first developed insomnia around February of this year due to extreme anxiety over getting tinnitus out of nowhere. The first 2 weeks were extremely difficult, maybe 1 to 2 hours of what I perceived as sleep. Things got better when I went away for spring break with my friends. I was sleeping around maybe 12 midnight or 1 a.m., but I was getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep. I noticed some of my old sleeping habits were coming back to like being able to fall asleep very quickly and being able to take naps. When I got back from spring break, my sleep was getting progressively better. I was sleeping quickly around 11 p.m. I'd wake up maybe once or twice, but I always fell back asleep and woke up to my alarm. March 28th was when it went downhill. I got an extreme bout of anxiety that came out of nowhere. I could not eat and could not sleep. My sleeping went back to what it was my first weeks of getting tinnitus. April 10, the anxiety subsided and the tinnitus does not bother me whatsoever. It doesn't bother me when I try to sleep because when I try to sleep, I forget to notice. But the insomnia still persists. As of tonight, I think maybe around 2-3 hours of sleep, maximum 4. Some nights I fall asleep quickly, but every night I wake up about 1 or 1.5 hours after falling asleep and have trouble going back to sleep. I have gone to my PCP regarding the insomnia anxiety last week and basically dismissed the insomnia I'm experiencing. I just want to ask you if most people with chronic insomnia end up resolving it with treatment and if they are able to go back to the normal ways of sleeping. I really miss my old self and long to go back to that stage. Do you think I'll be able to come back from this if I take early measures against insomnia? Any advice or encouragement will be helpful. Thank you, Alex. I want to say thanks to you, Alex, for letting me share this. I think it is super important that other people know that they're not alone going through insomnia. And I think we can learn a lot from what has happened in your case, Alex. So what's your story, Alex, is in many ways very, very common. It's a typical way people start having insomnia, meaning you have no problems until this thing triggers trouble sleeping. For example, you have stress or anxiety, and then you can't sleep. And that part of the whole thing is actually normal, meaning like when we are stressed or fearful or anxious, we're supposed to sleep a little less. Like think about it from like an evolutionary perspective, like you're living out there in the elements, and like people say that a tribe, another different tribe are on the warpath, then it is good for you to not sleep as much. You're more alert, you know what's going on, so you can defend yourself if you're being attacked, for example, something like that, right? But when you hear that other tribe are now, they're known, that was a rumor, then you're supposed to go back to sleeping well, right? And so that is normal. Like not sleeping well initially when we're stressed is a normal reaction, but it's what happens after that that is the real problem. And just keep that in mind, like digest that thought a little bit, and we're going to go back to that in a second, because I want to talk about the spring break episode. You slept really well when you're on spring break, and I think I'm convinced that it's because you were in a different environment. That helps, because a lot of the anxiety, worry we have about sleep, we kind of leave behind when we go to a new place. But even more than that, even more importantly than that, I believe it is that you were preoccupied, you were busy, you were out with friends, you stayed up late, you didn't think about sleep. And when we don't think about our sleep, we sleep really well. And there was one thing I want to point out there, which was you said, without my friends from spring break, I was sleeping around maybe 12 or 1 a.m., but I was getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep. It sounds to me, just by reading this, that 12, like midnight to 1 a.m. is a little bit later than you usually get up, and that may also explain it, because a lot of people with insomnia, try to go to bed earlier and try to make sure they have enough time to sleep. And those things really backfire, because if we go to bed too early, we just end up tossing and turning and we're more preoccupied with sleep. So another very, very important thing to keep in mind. Now, you're asking here, like, do most people with chronic insomnia end up resolving it? I think the following, that for many people, insomnia becomes chronic because they don't understand it and they take all these measures that are counterproductive. And that goes back to my original thought, that I asked you to kind of digest and keep in mind, which was like, not sleeping well for a period of time is normal, but it's what happens next that is the problem. So when you have an episode where you're stressed and you're not sleeping well, and then you start now thinking about the fact that you're not sleeping well, you're starting to worry about the fact that you're not sleeping well, and you're doing things like spending more time in bed, or trying to nap, or keeping the bedroom dark and cool, trying to take melatonin, things like that. Those are all what's called sleep efforts. Those are things that you do to try to sleep, and the more you try to sleep, the worse the sleep gets. And then what happens to people is that they try things, they don't work, they try even more, they try more things, and then the whole thing just spirals out of control. And often, which is also this part of your story is also typical, that even though the thing that caused insomnia goes away, like the tinnitus is not really an issue anymore, anxiety has subsided, the insomnia has now become a problem by and of itself. And it is, the worry and the attempts at sleeping better that keep feeding it. So going back to the chronic insomnia question is like, yeah, a lot of people don't get better because they don't understand what's happening, and they continue to search for that thing that's going to cure their insomnia, and they don't understand that the search itself is what feeds the insomnia. So I would say this, that most people, even with chronic insomnia, that understand what I'm talking about here, like understand insomnia and understand what they're supposed to do, they do better. Honestly, I think it's kind of like diet and exercise. Like if you reduce your caloric intake and you exercise, you are going to lose weight. Like there's no question about it. Same thing with insomnia. Like if you apply the techniques I'm going to talk about in a second here, if you apply that and if you just do it, if you work hard on it and do it, you are going to sleep better. You are going to get over your insomnia. So what are those techniques? Well, it's really no secrets here, and nothing that I haven't talked about a lot of times before. It's really it's understanding, which we talked about here. I think you understand pretty well what's going on. And then B, the behavioral techniques. So, for somebody that has trouble sleeping, you have to spend less time in bed. It sounds counterintuitive, but it is super important. It's because you need to spend less time in bed, so you have that sleep drive that you mentioned sleep drive, so you definitely understand that concept, and let that sleep drive work for you. So I think a good step is always like pick a wake up time, and let that be, let's say 6 a.m. Don't go to bed too early. Go to bed maybe not before 11:30 or not before midnight, something like that. And apart from that, I think it's super important, and I learned this from Nick Wignall, and he was on like Talking Insomnia episode 8, a really, really good one. So definitely tune into that one, where he taught me this concept of set it and forget it. So decide that you're not going to go to bed before, let's say 11:30, and not go to bed if you're not sleepy, of course. So even if you're sleepy at 11:30, wait, but not go to bed before 11:30. Get up every morning at 6. But apart from that, forget it. Meaning, try not to overthink it. Try not to think about what's causing your insomnia. Try not to think about what you're going to do if this doesn't work. Just try to forget it. And again, deciding to forget something may not work. So the important thing is kind of like when you were in spring break, like just stay busy. Like do things with, your friends, your girlfriend, get out, socialize, stay active, and do anything you can not to focus on sleep. And A, I bet that you're going to get better. And B, if you ever have trouble sleeping in the future, you understand these techniques and you can apply them again. So I hope this was helpful to you, Alex. And do email me if you have any follow-up questions. And I'm going to start saying this as well. Particularly, if whatever happens, let me know. But particularly if 2 months from now, 4 weeks from now, 3 months from now, or anytime in the future, you're like, wow, I'm doing good again. I completely resolve my insomnia, or even like I'm doing better, let me know, because a lot of people kind of disappear when they're doing well, and then we miss that opportunity to tell other people that, yeah, it really helped. So just keep that in mind. That was all for today. Hope this was helpful to anyone that heard this, and particularly to you, Alex. And as mentioned, any questions from anyone, send me an email, daniel@insomniainsight.co. Hope you have a really good rest of your day, morning, evening, or whatever time it is where you are at. Bye for now.